No, I don't.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Boopcast number 19. Sorry, these guys were just having a discussion while I was getting organised, and I could see Lachy talking. I was like, shit, the intro's running, I have to change it over, so that's why there was a little delay there. Sorry about that. I was trying to move it over when Lachy was not talking, so... But then Cory was talking, I couldn't see him.
Hi.
Welcome to Boopcast number 19, I already said that. We are your hosts, SheNoob and...
Cory.
And with us this week we have special guests, Minuteman2492 from Ruby the Abridged series, the voice of Cardin.
Or to be the voice of Cardin,
To be the voice
whenever
of
that
Cardin.
happens.
We're in the same boat, we're still waiting to start. And Lachy Miles, who I met at RTX, Larissa Ryan I met at RTX Sydney, who is a cosplayer primarily for Kingdom Hearts. And you can find him on Twitter. So...
Did you say tweeter?
Twitter.
Twitter.
I wrote Twitter earlier
Twitter
when I was
today.
trying to type it into the link. So, I do apologise first and foremost for this being 15 minutes late. And I do apologise second most for it being a whole day late.
I was going to say, it's a day and 15 minutes
It's a day and
late.
15 minutes late, officially. I'm
16
so
minutes.
sorry. I do apologise. I just realised I haven't popped out the Twitch chat either, so I'm a super good host today. And I don't have my notes open. Even better. Alright, there's my notes. Got 'em. I'm so sorry, guys. I had to, on short notice, pop down to the city, which is like 3 hours away, to clean up the house I used to live in. If you've been watching me for some time, you know I used to live not here. So that's what's going on with that. Okay, chat. Beautiful. Who's in the chat? I think I saw Cinder there for a second, and I just closed my notes. God, I'm a freaking idiot this morning, honestly. Okay, Chapter 4, Volume 5.
Hey, William.
Things happened. Lots of things, and we're going to talk about those things. Now, I know there is one thing in particular that everybody's going to be dying for us to talk about right now, but as always, we're going to do this in chronological order, so you're just going to have to wait. Sorry. We'll talk about that at the end, because I know we'll probably spend ages talking about it. So, let's get through everything else first. So, Chapter 4 of Volume 5. We were a little off with our predictions about who was going to be shown this chapter. But we did get lots of Yang and some Weiss again. Weiss has been in every chapter this volume so far.
Holy crap, you're right, she actually has.
Yeah, she's been in all 4 chapters. So now I'm thinking,
He's hogging all of Blake's screen time.
Yeah, well, good,
Yeah.
because Blake hogged everyone else's screen time last volume, so I'm good. I'm all Blaked out from last year. It's good. She can get on the back burner for a bit. Yeah, I definitely think we're seeing Blake for Chapter 5, though, and I think we're going to stick with Yang and Weiss as well, because that is too big of a deal right now for them to just leave it for a week, and if they do, I'll be pissed off. But we'll talk more about our predictions at the end. So, yeah, Chapter 4. The chapter opens with Yang and Shady Guy, as he was called in the credits, out in the middle of freaking nowhere in Anima.
Great name for a character. Shady Guy.
Yeah, Shady Guy in the credits. I forget his voice actor's name. But he's so
Clifford
looks
Chapman.
like... Sorry?
Clifford Chapman.
Clifford Chapman, that's the one.
Oh.
Yeah, he so looks like Gavin's character from Laser Team, Woody.
Oh,
Yeah,
he
he does.
does.
So looks
He also
like
looks
him.
like Felix. He looks a lot like Felix.
He does, yeah,
Yeah.
too, look like Felix, yeah. I feel like that's probably both
Woody.
of those things are deliberate. Yeah.
Woody's the name of the character he plays.
Sorry?
Woody from Laser Team 2, that's, the name of the character in
Yeah,
Laser Team
Woody,
2.
yeah.
Plays.
Yeah, Laser Team 2 is a thing in November, like this month. It's coming out soon. Yeah. So the first thing I noticed about this chapter was that the set of the wilderness with the trees and everything looks amazing. The foliage is extremely detailed. The whole set looked really good. This sort of wide, expansive, forested sort of area.
Ooh.
Did it remind you of the Yang trailer, though?
It did. Yeah, it did remind me of the Yang trailer a bit. Reminded me of Patch.
The
Yeah.
Yang character shorts.
I feel like that's probably like in the same sort of area of sets of just these wooded sort of places that aren't necessarily in a specific place, that they just kind of throw some trees around, but you know. The sets are looking amazing this volume, so I love the look that Yang gives that guy as he's running off. Like, she just like tilts her sunglasses and shakes her head like, how stupid do you think I am? Seriously. Like, honestly. And then she's just like taking off her gloves and taking off those thingies on the sides of her pants. I don't even know what to call them. And stretching and like, yep, here comes the fight. I'm ready.
Yeah, I've got a problem with that. I want to kick your ass so
Exactly.
the muscle doesn't slow down.
She's not stupid. And then we hear what's-his-face's gun cock off to the side, and it kind of took me by surprise, her using her arm to deflect the bullet, because I didn't even think about the fact that it would be bulletproof.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't really occur to me, and I was like, oh shit, that's actually really useful, like, as if you wouldn't utilize that in a fight to protect yourself. Yeah, because
Arm, but he didn't really use that to deflect any bullets. He just used his lightsaber thing.
yeah, exactly. And
like I brought up when we talked about it, she doesn't have to use her aura to protect the arm, so
no, exactly.
it's actually saving her. Like,
it's saving her aura, yeah. That gives her a major advantage. And then this guy comes out and he's all cocky, like, "Ooh, look at me, I got friends," and I'm like, "Oh, you're stupid." Like,
yeah.
like she, you know, she's. He even says in the 2 episodes ago, what was it, chapter 2, chapter 1?
Chapter 1.
It was chapter 1. Good lord, we haven't seen her since chapter 1. Yeah, he even says that she looks like a huntress, and, you know, he's such an idiot here. I'm like, really, dude? Really?
Yeah.
You see her metal arm, like, you got punched in the face by it. You think she can't kick all of your asses right now? Oh, yeah. Yang's little snarky that way. She goes when he's like, oh, the camp's back that way, and she's like, over there? Really? Okay, that's good to know. Because as soon as I drop all of you, I'm going that way.
Thanks for telling me all your secret information. You're going to tell me your phone password too?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure.
What's the Wi-Fi password?
Oh, it's easy. It's ReverendSucks6941 or whatever. I'm ready.
Yeah.
And what a credit card number? Oh yeah, sure. Here, I'll write it down. Here you go. Go nuts with it.
Exactly. Like this guy is just in way over his head here. The biggest thing that struck me so far with Yang this volume is her attitude has changed immensely. She's dealing with some heavy crap, of course, but Yang as we knew her, I don't want to say she doesn't exist anymore, but she's definitely hidden behind this this front of a lot of anger that she's dealing with. A lot of anger, a lot of confusion. But having said that, I feel like she's the stronger for it. She has, you know, she's gone through a significant trauma, but she's come out the other end stronger, and maybe less naive is the way I want to describe it. Definitely.
Yeah, I don't know if she's stronger, but at the same point, kind of, like, not. Because, like, you saw how quickly, she really quickly jumped back to anger, later in the episode with when Raven was trying to leave.
Yeah, she lost
like,
the cool.
There was, so it was kind of a thing where it's like, I think that she's, in a way she's improving, but in a way she's also taken 2 steps back.
What was that, Lachy? Sorry, your mic cut out there.
Sorry, she spent all these years trying to find her. She's lost her arm, and most of her friends have gone missing on top of that. And she just starts walking away.
Yeah. She's excuse me. Yeah, we'll talk about that scene in a bit, but, so the line that this shady guy says, "You're gonna take your lumps," I was like, oh my god, seriously?
Is that the best?
Really, I don't.
You're gonna take
I'm
your
in the city
lumps.
and I don't hear that ever. I've never heard that.
I was cringing internally when I heard that. I was like, seriously? I didn't mention it in my reaction because I was like, Jesus Christ. But,
This guy needs to get better material.
yeah, I know. I,
This is
like,
the exact opposite of a Mary Sue. Just so incompetent and so eye-wateringly, cringingly,
I know.
just bad in dialogue.
So yeah, and then we had the awesome reveal of, so everybody was wondering ever since Yang lost her other gauntlet, her other Ember Celica, how the hell is she gonna fight with one gauntlet? Well, I feel like what actually happened here occurred to a lot of people, but I personally didn't really think about it that much. So they revealed that there is a shotgun barrel, in fact, in Yang's new arm, and I just saw it and I went, that's amazing and makes a lot of sense. So yeah, she doesn't need a gauntlet. Why would she need a gauntlet when she has this high-tech frickin' awesome arm with a shotgun barrel in it? But my question is, where the fuck do the dust rounds go? Like, how much space is there in that contraption? Like, there's got to be circuitry and stuff for it to work. So I'm like, where does the dust go?
Maybe on the other side of the arm where the gauntlet is, because the
I don't know.
gun's on the top part of her arm. Maybe she can, like, load it into the bottom part of her arm, maybe?
Yeah, there must be some compartment somewhere that she opens to put in the dust rounds, yeah. But yeah, that was really cool, and I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I'm not sure why I didn't think about that until this very moment. I was distracted by other things, I suppose. So this fight scene right here, this fight was incredible. I loved it. It was choreographed and animated so well compared to some fight scenes we saw last volume. Even compared to the Weiss fight scene we got in Chapter 2. This was like, oh my god. I was watching it and I almost saw Monty in it. Almost. Not quite, but it's getting there. Even like at the very beginning, some of the moves that Yang was doing, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting Monty flashbacks here and it's amazing and I love it. The score for this fight was actually Armed and Ready. It took me a while to pick up on it, but I thought it was I Burn at first. But Armed and Ready and I Burn have a very similar sort of cadence going on, which is a deliberate choice on Jeff Williams' part. The score was amazing, the Armed and Ready score, and just the way Yang's moving and the animation is so fluid, and Yang is at her peak right now. This is the best she's ever been as a fighter. She's more evasive, she fights smarter than she has before. Previously, she's been, really gung-ho and just charges in really without a second thought, and we saw how well that went for her at the end of Volume 3. Yeah, really well! Totally.
Yeah, so well.
Obviously, her training and her talk with Tai made an impact on her last volume, and she thinks more when she fights now. Whereas before, she was all emotion-driven when she fought. She wasn't really a thinker. She would just go in and punch them in the face and be like, well, let's hope that works. But now, she's actually thinking about how she can use the battlefield, how she can use her own body weight and use her new strength with her new limb. Really well to her advantage, and to keep her foes on their toes. Whoops, that rhymed. And to keep them confused and sort of be like a bit more random in the way that she does things, and it's really working well for her. Yeah, the only quiff I had with this short was that with the fight is that it was too short. It was like not even a minute and a half, but it was very satisfying, I thought. As, like, Yang hasn't had a proper fight. Oh my god, I don't even know how long it's been. Since Chapter 6... No, Chapter... since Chapter 6 of, Volume 3.
Volume 3.
That's how long it's been. It's been more than a year and a half. Almost 2 years. And, since Yang's had a proper fight, so this was really satisfying for her to come back really strong. And she handled it without hulking out. So that's another one. Yeah.
The sparring matches in Volume 4 were like little sneak peeks of Yang fights, but that was about it.
Yeah, the sparring with Ty was a nice little sort of tide over. That's a pun. My bad. I'm making accidental puns today. It's gonna be one of those podcasts. Great. Yeah. So, but then like we haven't seen her in action, actually in peril, fighting an enemy, and we've all been wondering how she's gonna handle it. And of course, she's still got the shaky shakes, but she understands that her PTSD, and she's learning how to control it, and she's not letting it sort of control her, which is good to see.
Nightbot's still promoting your extra life.
What was that? Oh,
Your
whoops!
Nightbot
I better turn that off,
extra life.
Still got the extra life alerts on. My bad. Hold on while I turn off Nightbot's alerts. 1 second. I didn't even realize. I just have them. I had them enabled for extra life, but I'll just turn that off really quick. Disable. There we go. Thanks, Nightbot, for promoting my live event that's no longer going. Let the Barbara flow through you back. Thank you, William. I shall do that. So yeah, Yang's doing really well, except the anger issues is going to be a problem, a recurring problem throughout. We already saw how well that went with Raven, so... But, you know, she's gonna learn to deal, eventually, and we'll talk a bit about that at the end as well. Anything else to note about this scene? Anyone else? Anything else anyone wants to note?
I just want to note the flip.
Which flip?
When she flips over the guy at the end.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess she did flip a few times, you're right.
A couple of times, yeah.
I like how that's...
Yeah,
I really like how
was-
like at the last second she does an epic flip right before she's about to punch him and then takes him by surprise.
Yeah, that's the one Cory's talking about. That was cool. And like, you know, when she launches off for that punch, everyone goes, she's gonna whack him in the face, but she doesn't, and she instead goes for the evasive maneuver to then take him from behind. That sounds wrong. To then attack him from behind, and and like it's kind of the opposite of what we would expected Yang 2 years ago to have done. So it's this fight is showing a lot of things. It's showing her character development, showing her growth as a fighter. It's showing what she's learned from this terrible experience that she's had. All very good things, and that was animated really well as well. Mm-hmm. Amazing. I
just love the parallels that it drew to the Yang character short, where we saw almost the exact same shot of Yang flying at the Ursa, and you know, engaging in combat there, and then we see, you know, this shot where it starts off exactly the same, like it's the same shot.
It's the same,
but it
shot.
ends completely differently, and
it does. Yeah,
that's why it's, you know, it is so cool to see it. Before, she would have just punched him, but this time she, you know, evaded his attack and then punched him.
And then punched him from behind. Yeah, so she was smart about it, and that's why she was able to take on, you know, how many of them were there? 7? 7
Six.
bandits? 6.
I believe there were 6, possibly 7 with the addition of Creepy Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were 7 with the addition of... No, just 6. Just 6.
Okay, yeah. So, and, you know, Yang 2 years ago would have just, like, activated a semblance and been like, bam, 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 you're all down, but...
Use everyone as a living punching bag,
exactly,
so to speak.
Yeah, and... You know, she's learned that that's not always the best way to go about things, and her semblance isn't always going to be something she can rely on, because it's not always going to get her out of trouble. So yeah, a lot of good things for Yang here in this scene. And the next scene was Ranger, who I wasn't expecting really to see this chapter. I feel like they were going to get a lot of Ranger leading up to reunions that'll be happening across the volume before everybody sort of converges on the same storyline. So Oscar's doing pretty well, and Ruby sucks, as usual. Ruby's useless.
Oh, there's
Nothing new there. But yeah, Jean says that Oscar's picking up on it quickly, and like that's to do with inheriting Ozpin's muscle memory, and but he's still a little pipsqueak. Like if he went up against like Ren, he would be screwed. Like there's no way.
Oh.
But just because it's Ruby and she's just hopeless at hand-to-hand combat, then he's doing okay. Nora and John's commentary, like throughout these sparring matches, they're just sort of like cringing, going, "Ouch," and all of that sort of stuff. I was like, yeah, that's really cool. I like that. Everyone on Tumblr is going nuts over Ruby's angry eyes when Oscar punches her in the face. She's like, we don't see Ruby like angry very often, but for some reason it just reminded me of Toy Story and Miss Potato Head when he's like, prepare to meet Mr. Angry Eyes, and then chucks his shoes in his eye holes. Does anyone remember that? That's
I remember that.
Such an obscure reference, but
was that from the original Toy Story? 'Cause I don't remember
I
that
think
happening.
it was Toy Story 2, actually.
Okay,
Yeah.
there we
I
go.
don't think that's what they were referencing.
No, but that's what it reminded me of. Like, when I was on Tumblr and everyone was saying Ruby's angry eyes, I was like, that immediately reminded me of Miss Potato Head. Yeah. So yeah, that's weird, but...
Am I the only one who thinks Oscar needs to find some ancient Egyptian artifact to help him transform into Ozpin?
I mean,
I don't
isn't
know.
Ozpin already possessing him?
I don't know that it's really a transformation as such as eventually the two souls will just sort of become one soul, or maybe Ozpin will leave once he feels like Oscar's ready. It's the same consciousness that's been reincarnated through different souls over thousands of years, Ozpin says. So it's the same consciousness, but of course every time it goes to a new host, it inherits the consciousness of that host. So it's a very advanced sort of... it's almost like an entity that hops from host to host.
Kind of like the symbiote thing from Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But less malicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet thing.
Less of a parasite, more of an entity, yeah.
One thing I like about when Ozpin takes over Oscar, the first couple words he says, he and Oscar's voices are intertwined for a second.
Yeah.
And then it goes back to Oscar's voice.
Yeah. So at the moment, Ozpin and Oscar are separate, but eventually either Ozpin will leave, like, as a consciousness, he will leave, or the two will just become one whole unit and one consciousness. When we knew Ozpin, he was an older man, not that old, but so he obviously by that point, I don't think he had that voice in his head anymore. It certainly didn't seem like it. He was definitely at a point where he had a lot of time to adjust and accept what was going on with all of that stuff. Yeah, so with time, I'm sure it will evolve into something that I think it's actually going to be really sad if it's a thing where, like, Ozpin's like, okay, you don't need me anymore. I can go now, kind of thing. And, like, Cory and I were discussing this. Did we discuss this last podcast, or did we discuss it?
Yeah, I think it was...
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure last time.
How we were saying that it's going to become a thing of, like, right now, Oscar's really annoyed by this voice in his head, constantly telling him what to do and what he's doing wrong. But when it comes time to say goodbye, he's actually probably going to be really sad about it, like, because it will become part of him over time.
I mean, or they could just subvert that and make it like, thank God he's out of my head, and completely flip over
like,
everyone's expectations.
Yeah, it's Ruby, so they're probably going to go the route that's going to make us all cry, because they like making us cry.
Yeah, true enough. You know what this reminds me of? If any of you have watched South Park, what's his name? The City Walk guy. How he's got multiple personality disorder.
Yes.
And he's like Butter's psychiatrist, and then he goes into what the hell was it? I don't remember his name. Like Mr. City Walk.
Yeah.
While he's counseling Butters.
Yeah. I haven't seen a lot of the show, but I've played The Stick of Truth, and Mr. God, what's his name? Mr. Wong. Is it Mr. Wong?
I think it's Mr. Wong.
I think it's Mr. Wong. Yeah.
I just call him Mr. Shewalk.
Fucking Mongolians.
American Shewalk, man, take a lot of praise.
Mongolian beef smell like shit.
Just going on a tangent. My calculus teacher last semester, like 2 semesters ago last year, literally sounded like him.
Oh no.
Honestly, God, he talked exactly like Mr. Wong.
Oh no.
I
bet it was hard to concentrate in that class.
I ended up getting like a C, barely.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, Ruby and Oscar, I was gonna say going at it. God damn.
What's with you and the
Ruby and Oscar are having a powwow.
innuendos?
Shush! I didn't mean to say it. It almost slipped out. And she gets excited when she, like, knocks him down. She's like, yeah, I did it! I'm like, and I'm just thinking, well done, Ruby. You just beat up a 14-year-old kid who has 0 combat training. Well fucking done. Yeah. She's so proud of herself.
This is Ruby we're talking about. She's got very low expectations.
Oh, yeah. Talk about it. Bloody hell.
In terms of what we were talking about earlier about Ozpin taking over Oscar, I think it'd be sad if Oscar sacrificed himself to give Ozpin complete control
Yeah.
at one point.
I'm not sure that's, like, exactly how that would work, because we don't know what happened with, like, Ozpin's situation and who his predecessor was and how that... He talks a little bit about it to Oscar, but we don't really... Oh my god, I just looked at the clock and it's 9:11 a.m. on the 9th of November. That's weird. It's 9/11 on 9/11. Anyway!
It's 11:09 here in the U.S. Thank you very much.
Oh my...
Actually, it's only 11:08 here.
Yeah, it's 11:08.
Yeah. Yeah, Oscar gets knocked down here, and Ozpin's like, oh, you forgot about your aura again. And he says, like, he's like, why didn't you tell me? And he goes, well, this method makes you less likely to forget. I'm like, yeah, that's true, but Oscar, before all of this, probably didn't even know anything about aura, how it worked. Like, he didn't know what a semblance was, so, you know, he was essentially a normal person before this happened, and normal people don't know about aura and all that kind of crap. That's more of a thing that's taught at combat schools and that sort of shit. Because normal people don't really need to protect themselves with their aura on a daily basis, I guess, but so yeah, Ozpin takes over here, and he was totally going easy on Ruby. Like, we saw him fight at the end of Volume 3. He was kick-ass. And obviously he doesn't want to, like, break Oscar's body, but, because he probably could if he wanted to. Yeah.
He's like, give me your body for a minute, I'll be fine. I'm sure Oscar takes back. Oh god, what did you do to my back?
Yeah, that's essentially, like what we saw, Chapter 3, was it? When we first saw Ozpin again in Oscar's body? Was that 3?
I think it was 2?
Yeah.
No,
No, it was 3, yeah. Because Chapter 2 was the Wise chapter. Yeah, no, it was 3.
Mm-hmm.
Standing on the chair, and then he immediately falls over. When Oscar
and he falls off, and, like, as soon as he regains control, it's like, oh, I'm so tired. And, like, he even does it here as well. He's like, oh, I'm exhausted. And, so Ren starts going all Mr. Miyagi on us in this scene as well, which was interesting. He's like, kind of, you know, there was a lot of just blatant explaining about semblance and aura and that kind of thing. And it was for Oscar's benefit, but it's also reiterating all this stuff to the audience as well. Who, you know, probably forget about it, I imagine. And yeah, so Ren was talking about the way aura works, and we as an audience already understand that, like, you know, your aura becomes stronger over time, and they use it to deflect harm and all that kind of stuff. We've heard this a million times over, but Ren's just sort of going back over it for Oscar's benefit. And sorry.
It's like, he's like giving us a quick recap. Something.
Your mic's cutting out, Lachy.
Hi.
That's okay.
Past you housing microphone technology.
Yeah. So Ruby and Oscar are cute as hell. I still don't ship them. I will not ship them. I refuse to ship them, but they are adorable as like a pair, especially in this sort of sparring that they're doing here, and Ruby's little glance that she has at Oscar when Ren's talking about Aura and all that kind of thing, and we get to hear a bit about everybody's semblances here, which was interesting. So we finally got confirmation.
It's so natural about her semblance being reversed. She's like, I was struck by lightning and I was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
You want to got a bit more, just leave it at that. Like, you were struck by lightning.
Yeah.
Literal lightning and you walked out fine. You don't want to tell us how that worked or anything.
Yeah, yeah, so that was interesting, and I'm like, I want to know more. Like, how the frickin' hell did that happen? But, you know, they give us as much as we need and no more. So we got confirmation on Ren's semblance.
One moment.
Yeah, no worries. We got confirmation on Ren's semblance, which is masking emotions. And the thingy has gone skew-if, so I will just keep talking and we'll just ignore that that's just happened.
I thought his semblance could, like, hide him from Grimm's sight, and that was kind of right, because Grimm can sense emotions. That's how they count and kill.
Yeah, he basically, so he can mask people's emotions, is what he does. So that's, like, essentially we all were like, yeah, that's what we thought it was, but it's nice to actually hear them say it, and be like, this is what it is, yeah. Because I feel like there was a bit of confusion about how exactly, or like what exactly his semblance did. Because we understood that it was a mask of some description, and that it had something to do with emotions, but that it's that straightforward now is good.
Whether it actually masked emotions, or whether it just basically hid them from the Grimm.
Yeah, exactly. So there was a cute little bit here where they're talking about semblances, and Jean obviously has yet to discover his semblance. Damn it, Jean. It's been 5 years, like, come on, dude. And Ruby has this line where she goes, Jean's like you! And I was like, and she, like, drags Oscar over to Jean. I saw a meme on Tumblr that I need to talk about. I told Cory this already. But, there was this meme on Tumblr, which was that scene where she drags Oscar over to Jean. And it was like, I don't like us being shipped together, so I've decided you two need to be shipped together. So, you just wait for the Jean and Oscar ships to start happening now, so, I don't even know what that ship would be called.
Yeah, I can't ship Ruby and Oscar because there's a 2-year age difference, but there's a 4-year age difference between those two, so I definitely can't ship that either.
Yeah,
I ship ones that are present in the show, like Ren and Nora, and John and Kira, and most of that other stuff. Really.
Oh, don't talk about Arcos. Oh, we can't talk about Arcos. It hurts.
God, it's all my brother's dad.
Great.
God, sorry.
Yeah. So, yeah, like the height differences as well was startling to me. So, Jean is like 2, almost 3 feet taller than Oscar. Like, Oscar's tiny. He's shorter than Ruby, but actually taller than Nora, which I thought was interesting. Nora's a shorty bum. I didn't realize how short Nora was. She's tiny. When you stand them all next to each other in this scene, Nora's shorter than Oscar, only by a fraction, but she is shorter. And she's about, half a head shorter than Ruby as well. So, which is interesting considering Ruby's 2 years younger than her. And still growing as well. So, whereas Nora's, almost 18 at this point, so she hasn't got a whole lot more growing to do. I mean, I stopped growing at like 16. I hit 5 feet and didn't get much taller, so lucky me.
I think that's 17.
Yeah.
Not sure.
But Jean is super tall. I always, I forget how tall Jean is. Last volume when he hugged Ren in chapter 9 of volume 4, I was like, holy crap, Jean's a whole head taller than Ren. Like, geez, he's so freaking tall. He's got to be like 6 feet equivalent, surely. Or around about there. He's tall as hell. But... yeah, it was just interesting to see all the different height dynamics with them, because John's heaps taller than Ruby, but Oscar's, taller than Nora, so bloody hell. What Ren says about semblances here is interesting, how he says that some people think that your semblance defines your character, and some think it's the other way around, and some think it doesn't have a correlation at all. So when it comes to Ren's semblance, definitely to do with this character, like, he's a very composed person. He doesn't often let his emotions get in the way or control him. And, his semblance is to mask emotions. So,
but I think it's interesting that he didn't really seem to be that way before his semblance was unlocked.
No, when he was a child, yeah, he was a bit of a scaredy cat. So, like, yeah.
He was even kind of, like, bubbly.
Yeah, even a little bit bubbly, yeah.
Out there and burn my village to the ground. And
yeah, exactly. Trauma.
I'm back.
Wow, okay.
Like I said, this is what I was waiting for from the Postal Service. Thank you,
nice
Rita.
accessory. So yeah, Ren's talking about semblances here, and we find out that Ruby's just kicked in during training, and Nora, of course, got struck by lightning on a Thursday, which is a deliberate choice, because Thursday originally was called Thor's Day, and we know Nora's based on the character Thor, so yeah.
Funny.
Yeah, so, and then there's been a lot of talk about Jean's semblance this volume so far as well, so I'm hoping they're leading up to a reveal towards the end of the volume, unless they're just gonna not do that again, because, like, the last time we heard about it was when him and Pyrrha talked about it in volume 3, and, yeah, so, like, everybody's dying to know what Jean's semblance is. We've already seen it way back in volume 1, but we don't understand what it is or how it works, and neither does he. So, we still have a lot of unanswered questions about that. So hopefully they're leading up to a nice reveal at the end, when there's inevitably the fall of Haven thing going on.
I think it'd be foolish of them if they didn't reveal it this volume. They've already talked about it like twice now this volume. If they don't follow through, there will be many screwing themselves.
Fans.
Yes, exactly.
Can't have that.
I kind of hope it's like a new fantasy game, like Omni Slash or something like that from the Final Fantasy game. This Monty used to animate a lot of Final Fantasy stuff.
Yeah.
Dead Fantasy. Like, I hope all his finishing moves is a reference to the Omni Slash, which is cards for the move.
Yeah.
Also, on the quick that I noticed in the episode where Weiss is defending the ship and a Night Thing charges to attack the giant bug, the Night Semblance thing does like a kind of a reference attack to the Omni Slash when it's charging at the bug, and it goes in different directions when it attacks it.
Yeah, it does, yeah. Yeah, so, I also, like, we'll talk about Raven in a second, but, that Raven's semblance was spelled out for us in this episode as well, and it was not what I thought it was at all. But yeah, I'm hoping that they're not building up to a big reveal to a massive disappointment with Jean's semblance, so...
you did say they'd like to make us cry, so...
Yeah,
it might be a disappointment. They thrive off our tears.
Yes, they do. It's their fuel. It's their life force. It's Ruby's life force. It's the fandom's tears. And there were tears at the end of this episode as well. Tears of joy, to be fair. But,
I cried.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't spoken to anyone who didn't cry. Sorry. But we'll talk about that at the end. Yeah, so that was a nice scene with, it's nice to have Ozpin back, even if it's in this weird sort of way. I felt like when they got rid of him, I was like, they did away with such an amazing character that has so much knowledge and we still have so many questions about. But now we're getting answers to those questions, and it's good to have that character back as well. And the voice actor as well, because he's so good. I'm glad that they found a way to work him back in.
They need Brody and Ruby.
Brody's awesome. Brody voices Ozpin for Ruby Bridged. Yeah, so...
our favorite Snarky Brett.
Yes. So...
Shannon McCormick.
Yeah, Shannon McCormick voices Ozpin, yeah. Yeah, so the final scene in the bandit camp. So Yang is finally confronting Raven after searching for her whole life. And this goes interestingly, because I feel like this is not how Yang thought it would be. And because of the extenuating circumstances. She keeps it together pretty well to start off with. She, her hand's shaking, but she's like, just keep it together. You're here for a purpose. So I hate Raven. Everybody knows this. I fucking hate Raven as a character, as a person. I think she's a piece of shit.
Please tell us how you really feel.
Sorry? Tell us how I really feel. Yeah, no, I've said this multiple times. People know that I hate Raven. But the fact that she has the nerve here to speak to Yang like a mother pisses me off. I'm like, how dare you talk to Yang like she's your child when you've A, been absent her entire life, B, your daughter's shown up and you can't even, oh my god, I could not explain how livid I was watching this scene. I was like, Raven, I hate you so much.
She lost her freaking arm.
I know, she doesn't even give a shit.
I mean, she's both Volume 2 from Neo, but that's no excuse to just, literally vanish.
But then the next time we hear about her, Crow's like, Raven said she saved you once, but you shouldn't expect her to do it again. I'm like, bitch, fuck you. Yeah, so I also expected Weiss to be gone by this point, so I was surprised that she was still there. I would have thought she... Yeah, I would have thought she would have escaped.
Alright, time for Plan B, and I like Plan B. Let's just bust out of here and...
Yeah, exactly. And then I was like, as soon as I saw Weiss was there, I was like, don't tell me they're going to do a thing where they, just miss each other. I'll be so pissed off if they do that, but thank God that they didn't.
I've been talking about that all volume. I keep saying, I'm like, they're going to do it, and so when I saw that too, I was like, don't you do it, especially because Yang's motorcycle was still out there, so I was like, that's how Weiss is going to find out that Yang was there.
Yeah.
God dang it.
Yeah, exactly.
Weiss didn't hear Yang's voice or her name when
Revan called out. We were talking about this, I was like, how did Weiss not hear Yang's name mentioned, that she was right there, but, anime logic. Again,
and she was probably too busy not getting caught or anything to even notice.
Yeah.
Focusing on breaking up from the jail cell.
This scene in particular answered a lot of questions we've had about Yang's direction this volume, because the Yang, at the end of Volume 4, it looked like she headed to Mistral, and then in the Yang short, she was thinking about her sister, and, and then suddenly she's after Raven. We're like, what the hell's going on? Yang, why? What are you doing? But then Yang rocks up in this camp, and she's like, to Raven, bitch, I don't care about you, actually. I care about what you can do for me, and I care about my sister, so take me to my sister. I was like, oh my god, finally it makes sense. Especially now that we hear about how Raven's semblance works exactly in that she can create a portal straight to somebody she's bonded with, so family. So Tai and Yang and Crow, specifically. And probably a few others as well, like the Spring Maiden, for example. Suddenly everything sort of made sense in this scene, as to Yang's direction. So, and of course, we saw Ruby writing a letter to Yang at the end of last volume, but obviously it never made it. So Yang doesn't know that Ruby's in Mistral with Crow and the rest of Team Ranger. So she's like, I don't want to spend the next however the fuck long looking all over Anima for my sister when you can just take me straight there. Essentially. But Crow isn't... Sorry?
Something I like about Revan in the series is she's kind of like the Shadow the Hedgehog of the franchise. She's got black and red hair, black and red attire. She looks awesome. She can teleport anywhere in the world, and she can intimidate someone just by looking at them.
Yeah.
Is she angsty though? That's the real question.
Yeah. Well.
She's edgy.
Angsty as fuck to be.
I would describe her as edgy, definitely. Edge detective.
Yeah, that's close enough. Shadow the Hedgehog definition of edge. So.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
And of course, he's edgy too.
It explains how Raven got to Yang when she was being attacked by Neo, definitely. Now we're like, okay, so she created a portal straight to Yang, but, like, we're like, how did she know Yang was in danger? Like, how does that sort of stuff kind of work? So, Raven has a line here when, Yang's like, she says, that's not what I'm here for. Raven says, what was that? And she says it in such a scolding, like, parent sort of way, and I'm like, excuse me, bitch, what's your tone? Like, you are not, as far as Yang is concerned, you are not family. Like, family doesn't, you know, piss off and not say boo for 18 years.
Yeah, the only family of hers that was in that camp was 20 feet to her left.
Yeah, exactly. And then Raven also says family are only coming around when they need something. And I'm like, excuse me? The only time she ever visits Crow is when she wants to know something. So she's being a huge hypocrite with saying that. Literally the last time we saw her, she was going to Crow to ask him if Salem had the relic of
Creation? No.
Yeah? Creation? I think? Whichever the full relic is.
Yeah.
I think it's creation, yeah. And that was her whole purpose for meeting up with Crow, and she's like, oh, can't I just catch up with my family? I'm like, oh, I hate you so much, seriously, you're such a hypocrite. Yeah, so...
I was like, you have risky acceptance of that word.
Exactly, yeah. So yeah, it's nice to know how Raven's semblance works, and her saying Ty's name in this scene I thought was interesting. So she's got a portal for Ty, so it makes me wonder, like, what kind of a contact basis the two of them are on. But the way Ty talks about Raven to Yang last volume makes it seem like the two of them haven't interacted for quite some time. Like, he talks about her like she was a past thing. You know, he says Raven was great in so many ways, and so I don't know, yeah, that whole sort of dynamic going on behind the scenes is interesting. I'm vaguely interested to hear Raven's side of the whole Ozpin Team Stark sort of thing that's going on. I'm mostly curious about some Rose. And I'm mostly curious about why Raven decided to turn her back on everything, and why she's doesn't like Ozpin. But I'm also like, I also don't care. I also don't give a crap what her reasons are. I just think she's a bad person. Yeah. So you know, it'll be interesting. So then.
Well, I just want to say this real quick. Wade in the chat just said, I bet the group broke up when Summer died. But in order for... Raven left before Summer and Ty ever got together. Like,
yeah. Remember
why
that
they got together.
Raven left when Yang was born. So something happened prior to Summer's death to break up the team. So, yeah, it wasn't to do with Summer's death. Summer's death was a couple of years after that. Wade says, oh yeah, duh. Yeah, the group broke up before Summer died. Winter is creation. Which one is full?
It's choice.
Choice, thank you. Yeah, so the Relic of Choice. Woo! I just went to my desktop by accident. So, the big moment, the Freezer Burn reunion. We need to talk about this. So,
oh, wait, I want to point out something a lot of people missed. Yang swore.
Yeah, Yang said, damn it. She said, take me to Crow, damn it.
I wouldn't call that a swear.
I mean, it's Ruby.
Well, I mean, for Ruby...
Yeah, true. This is Animus.
I mean, it was a big deal for Tyrion to say bitch last volume at Ruby. Sorry, Lachy, your mic's cutting out again.
Oh, damn it. Curse you, lousy microphone!
Just like you have a Mac.
I do have a Mac.
Oh. Oh, my Mac's got to be worse.
There goes that out the window straight away.
Yeah, yeah, just pretend that didn't happen.
Yeah, so...
I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, damn it isn't really a swear word. I mean, Tyrion only said bitch last time to get his point across.
Yeah, I mean, she did just cut off his tail, so it's justified. Yang here, she's just like, her eyes go red, and she's like, send me to Crow, damn it, because this is not going the way that she hoped it would, so, and she's getting angry.
How the hell did Weiss not hear that? Surely she could have heard that.
She would have surely, like, when the tent comes down, we see that Weiss is actually staring in that direction, like, because she can hear what's going on, and she's like, what the hell? I don't know, the, like, when she sees Yang, she looks surprised, but, like, she must have heard the entire conversation, surely. Surely she heard it. She was right there, for goodness sake, and they were shouting, so it's not like, you know, anyway.
Yeah, and then Weiss must have been like, is that Yang? Surely that can't be put it. And then she stands up and checks, and the tent conveniently falls down, and then she can actually see it's actually Yang.
Yeah, I think it's more like disbelief, yeah, than surprise, definitely. And I found it interesting that when Yang sees Weiss and calls out her name, the expression Yang pulled really reminded me of the old Yang. I can see a little bit of the old Yang there. And Weiss kind of brings that out in her. Weiss's line here is hilarious. Alright, well, subtlety is out. I was like, really, Weiss? That's your reaction to what's happening right now?
Well,
Bloody hell.
Plan B. I kind of wish the line was like, well, time for Plan B. And I like Plan B. Like, Simmons.
Yeah.
Easy and it's out. And I like how they kind of stand back to back, kind of.
Yeah.
Like they're surrounded by enemies, surrounding back to back, and kind of reminded me of the scene in Kingdom Hearts 2 where Cloud and Leon are standing back to back ready to fight a ton of Heartless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the old back-to-back maneuver. The mirror score when the armor enlarges itself was really a really cool thing to hear, because like a straight-up mirror score is something we haven't heard in ages, and also it's like Yang's there, and you know it's calling back to what almost feels like a previous lifetime now. So that they bust out the mirror because like, yeah, the teams get back together kind of thing. And Yang's reaction to the armor is funny, because last time Yang saw Weiss couldn't summon, and now suddenly there's this fucking enormous armor there, and she's like, what is that?
Yeah.
Like, she's kind of
Weiss
scared
brought
of
her
it.
Megazord.
She's kind of terrified of it, and it's funny. And Weiss is like, don't worry about it, it's fine, it's just my armor, it's all good. There's another, so there's a bit of an exchange here between Yang and Weiss, and the whole situation that they're in it's such a strange situation for them to be in. So, and like the strangeness of it all is kind of not really dawning on them yet, and Weiss goes, your mom kidnapped me? And Yang goes, you kidnapped her? It's so funny. I was like, oh my god, this is like a sitcom. Like, how on earth they find themselves in this situation?
I'm pissed off.
Yeah, exactly. And then we think it's all about to kick off, but then
my arm cut off is one thing.
Yeah.
When you kidnap my friends, you are going down, mother.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like all about to kick off, and then Vanal spoils the fun, of course. Fucking Vanal.
Mm-hmm.
I did like Raven's line here after Vanal screams enough. Raven's like, thank you. It's so funny to me.
That was such a awesome way Amber Lee Connors delivered that line too.
Yeah. And
it was also basically the confirmation we needed that Vernal is spring. Like, we all already knew it, but now we know it.
Now we know it. Yeah, exactly. And
Vernal was great at the ATV too, because like when they heard the song Thunderstruck, this is particularly terrifying when they say Thunderstruck or something.
that would make a good AMV actually.
Thunderstruck.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to put that on the list. Yeah, so Raven makes Vanal give Mertnaster back to Weiss, and I'm like, yeah, that's more bloody like it. Thank you very much. And Weiss kind of it was funny because when Weiss grabs Mertnaster and she looks at it, it reminded me of the Weiss short. When she, she has that same pose when she looks at Mertnaster in the Weiss short, and I was like, oh, that's kind of a cute sort of mirror going on there. Raven says here, if you're going after your sister, you need to know the truth. My question is, which truth is she talking about? Is she talking about the truth about the maidens, the truth about the relics, the truth about Salem, the truth about Ozpin, Team Stark? Which truth? I need to know!
I think it's all of it.
All of it!
All of the truth. Yes.
Yeah.
Because he was... Didn't Vanel go into the tent with them?
No, Vanel walked off the other way.
I'm pretty sure we're going to find out about Vanel either from Revan or from Crow when they go track him down.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So it's a question of how much will Raven tell her? Because there's a lot to tell. And what sort of things will she mention?
Yeah. I still also don't think it's going to be the full truth, though.
No,
because
it's never the full truth.
We've gotten Ozpin's truth, and we're going to get, Raven's truth, but the truth is neither of those. There's going to be a middle ground.
I think that, fortunately, there's not a thing that Raven can say that will make Yang and Weiss change their mind about wanting to see Ruby and help them, because they're good guys, and that's what good guys do. Unlike Raven, who is not a good guy. So she's like, I don't want to get involved in all of this shit.
You really don't like Raven, do you?
Kind of is the Shadow the Hedgehog of this franchise. Like, they do what the anti-hero, what they want, however they want, when they want to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this next moment, the hug, the freezer burn, and finally back together, and it's the reunion none of us expected to happen first, and we didn't know we needed, but the fandom lost their minds when it happened. Lost their goddamn minds, and I don't think there was a dry eye in the house. So
AC said he didn't cry.
How dare!
I called him a robot.
Sorry. I watched it when I woke up first thing in the morning, so...
Yeah.
Yay, they're back together. I guess that's a good thing or
Too,
something.
Yeah, Thomas Robson, I'm also excited for a Weiss and Crow interaction after Volume 3 now. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Weiss isn't going to be the biggest fan of that whole thing going on, but honestly, I think if she's back with most of her team, she'll take Crow as a side-off for that. You were spoiled beforehand. Why were you spoiled? Were you on social media? That's a mistake.
Wasn't William spoiled last week, too?
Yeah, how do you keep getting spoiled, William? Get off social media, bro.
Oh, yeah, get off social media. That's real easy to do.
No, I mean, once the episode is released, do not go on Tumblr, because it is a minefield of spoilers. Like, even after Ruby Rewind releases every week, I don't go on Tumblr until the new chapter's out, because the preview always gets spoiled on Tumblr.
You're like the exact opposite of me with Red versus Blue. Like, I will go and look for spoilers on the next episode.
Well, because I film reactions, I don't want to see anything of the chapter before I do a reaction to it. So I'm like, I don't want to see previews, I don't want to see screenshots, show me nothing. If I get spoiled, I will lose my mind.
How the show gets made, but also for the sneak peek at the end. But I'll keep my mouth shut so I don't spoil it for you.
Yeah. No, so I haven't seen the preview on Rewind for the new chapter, and I don't want to know about it because, don't.
I missed it.
Because I film reactions, I want to react to everything as I'm seeing it for the first time. So, I prefer not to look at all of that. Before I did reactions, I was all over all the previews and all that sort of stuff. But now it's a different story. But so Yang's surprise when Weiss leaps into her arms is funny. What the? I can hear my own voice. That's really weird. Yang's surprise when Weiss leaps into her arms is funny because, Weiss, I guess, Yang doesn't see Weiss as somebody that really shows affection to people, and she's probably never hugged her teammates before either. So for Weiss to leap into her arms and be like, I missed you so much, and practically in tears, was surprising for Weiss and really, really tear-jerking for us. And then when Weiss says that, I missed you so much, and then Yang's like, I missed you too. And like, I don't think Yang really even thinks about how much she missed Weiss until that moment. Like, it was something that she didn't know that she missed. And then once Weiss was back, she, like, it brings some of the old Yang back out as well, which is nice to see. And their dynamic's going to be interesting going forward as well. So they had to bust out the home score in this scene, just to make sure we were all a mess. And the final shot of the chapter, which is the thumbnail for this podcast, of Yang and Weiss hugging as the night dissipates in the background, is the most beautiful. And, like, I was a mess by that point. Like, you guys will see my reaction. It's tragic. I was bawling like a baby.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as even before the hug happened, I was like, why aren't you guys hugging? And then they did, and I just went, bah! I was a mess. Like,
yeah.
I could not handle it. And, like, everybody I've spoken to was like, I burst into tears. Larissa burst into tears. Cory burst into tears. Arnold, I know,
so
definitely would be a mess. So Arnold's reaction is going to be interesting. But, yeah. The fandom lost their minds. I immediately went on Tumblr, and it was like, freezer burn everywhere. It's like, okay! There was fan art within 20 minutes of the episode premiering. I was like, how? How is there fan art already?
I was so annoyed when you the next day, that when the episode was out for you, I saw you online and Larissa was streaming for Extra Life that day, and you hadn't seen it yet, and I was literally just like, Beck, you need to see it. I can't tell you why, but you have to see it.
By that point, you'd composed yourself, so I had no idea. And Larissa had watched it before she started her Extra Life, but I slept in because I had Extra Life the day before, and I was fucking exhausted. So I didn't end up seeing it until like 4 p.m. That day. And when I did, I was a mess. And it was a couple of hours before I had to play hide and shriek with Larissa, and by then I was still like, oh my god, I cannot even my feels. Yeah, I was just like rewatching that last 30 seconds over and over to absorb absolutely every minuscule pixel of it, and just being like, it's so beautiful. Finally, they're back together. Yeah, I mean, it's been like a year and a half since these characters have even interacted, so like, it's been more than that even. I'm happy to see that Team Ruby's finally getting back together. It's a thing. I wasn't ready for this reunion at all, emotionally, whatsoever.
Yeah.
Any of us were.
I wasn't ready for it to be so emotional. I think, like, I was like, oh yeah, Freezer Burn reunion, that's going to be interesting, it's going to be cool. But no, I was in tears, and it was heart-wrenching in a good way. Yeah, it was really emotional, and like everybody's saying, if that's how emotional Freezer Burn's reunion is, imagine what's going to happen when like they meet up with Ruby. Like, everybody's going to be a mess. It's going to be a mess.
The way I want to reunite is Ruby's like fighting someone or a horde of them by herself, and say the sergeant's been knocked out of her hands and she's trying to fight hand to hand and it doesn't work. Then Weiss and Yang come out of nowhere in the last second.
I feel like because Freezer Burn's reunion happened in the heat of conflict, that they're now, well, obviously we know what's going to happen next. Raven's going to make a portal. They're going to go to Crow, but the thing is, Crow isn't with Team Ranger and Ozpin right now. He's actually out looking and recruiting huntsmen for their assault on the bandit camp that Yang and Weiss will have just come from. So that'll be interesting. They'll actually run into Crow before they run into anyone else. So I feel like the reunion with Team Ranger is not going to be situated in conflict. It's going to be a lot more like, okay, we're going to go meet up with Ruby, and yeah, I don't know how that's all going to play out, but it's definitely, yeah, there's going to be more tears, that's for sure. No doubt about that. So yeah, that's basically the chapter. We'll talk about our predictions for next chapter. So I feel like they're going to stick with this Raven Weiss Yang thing that's going on. It's not going to be the first thing we see in the chapter, though. I feel like the first thing we see will be Blake. Because we've gone without Blake for one chapter? Has it been one chapter?
It's only been one chapter,
but
they did.
She wasn't in 2. So, yeah, and she only had that one scene in chapter 3. We need to see the fallout of the damage that Ilya caused in chapter 3. So that's going to be probably the first thing we see for chapter 5, and then we'll return to Raven, Weiss, and Yang. Because if they leave Raven, Weiss, and Yang for a week, it's going to be like, oh my god, I can't wait another week to see what happens there. I need to know right this second what's going to happen with that. But I'm not entirely sure that they'll be reunited with Ranger this week. I feel like that's going to be a chapter 6 deal.
I'm going to see more of Ilya because it's voiced by Shirley Lee.
Sorry?
I'm going to try to see more of Ilya because she's voiced by Shirley Lee.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be seeing plenty more of Ilya this volume.
Yeah. I bet you her love interest is going to be voiced by either Bryce Papenbrook or Todd Habercorn.
If she has one, yeah. Yeah, so it's... Yeah, with the thing about Weiss and Yang reuniting with Crow and Ranger and Osmond is that it's converging a lot of different storylines. So I feel like they're not going to do it terribly early. It's going to be a chapter 6 thing at the very least. But yeah, I feel like we'll see Weiss and Yang go through the portal this for chapter 5. Whether we'll see them come out the other side or not is a bit up in the air. Yeah, so...
Oh my god. Wouldn't it be absolutely a dick move if Raven sent them to Ty?
She could do that. That's very well a thing that she could do, but I don't see why they would do that. As far as, like, they're really having to move the story along this volume.
Just here.
Yeah. Yang would be so annoyed. Ah, it just came from here.
And Bert is considered a dick move.
Yeah. I feel like they really are doing their best to move the story along. There's a lot to cover, there's a lot to get through before the end of the volume, and it feels like they are definitely wrapping up the Haven arc. So... yeah, I feel like they're just gonna careen straight ahead with getting Weiss and Yang together with Crow and Ranger and Osmond now, because there's a lot that needs to happen with that whole dynamic. And then Yang has been inside the bandit camp as well, and Crow and Ranger and Osmond are trying to get inside the bandit camp to get to Vanal. So there's gonna... yeah, exactly. Yang can... I'm just having a conversation with myself in my head right now, sorry. That's what I was like. Yang, you know, and Weiss as well has also been inside the bandit camp, so there's some information that they're going to need to pass along to everyone else there, as far as the camp and Vanal is concerned. So
I don't necessarily think that... I mean, I want to hear what Raven has to say, but I don't know if they're going to go through the portal.
I think they will. I think that...
I just feel like it would be too easy of a reunion, and I don't know if I want the reunion just to be something where it's like, look, yeah, like Crow would come back to the house and be like, look who I found. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, he kind of did that with Oscar already. He was like, oh, look who I found, you know, kind of thing. He was totally pissed at the time, but, you know. I feel like there's gonna...
the portal, and then Crow's conveniently drunk again, and he lands on top of... like, he almost bumps into Weiss, and he's like, oh, Winter, what are you doing here of all places?
Yeah. You again? Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
he's like, good to see you, Queenie.
I feel like Ruby means too much to Weiss and Yang for anything to really deter them from going to her and making sure they do whatever they can to help her. But of course they have to have that conflict and that sort of hesitation there. So, and obviously the audience has a lot of questions about Raven and Team Stark, so it's about time they gave us some damn answers. Yeah, so we'll see what happens with all of that, but I feel like definitely the end game here is for them to go through the portal to Ruby, regardless of what Raven says. I don't think there's anything she could say, really.
Yeah.
That was Blake, how are Blake and Son gonna get to them? I mean, my theory is they like find a white fang base and they sneak on board a ship that's conveniently going to Haven, and then they get off there and sneak off to go there and warn everyone, and then they conveniently bump into the rest of Team Ruby and Ranger when they get there.
Well,
I mean, that's basically...
Yeah, Gira mentioned that he wants to go to Haven to protect it from Adam and the White Fang. Oh yeah, there's that whole dynamic going on as well. I don't know if we'll see Adam in Chapter 5 or not. I feel like we're probably due to see some Salem, definitely.
Yeah.
And she's still...
I keep looking up every time you say Adam.
Yeah. So, yeah, Salem and Tyrion I feel like we'll see in Chapter 5. We haven't seen Leo for... When did we see Leo last? Chapter 3?
Chapter 2.
Chapter 2, yeah. So we haven't seen him for a couple of chapters.
Probably hiding somewhere in the corner, fixing his throat after being choked.
Yeah.
I still don't know if seeing Leo is necessarily a thing we have to see.
I feel like he's gonna go on the back burner for a bit now until the whole thing of like, alright, let's go get Banal crops up again. Also now because Ozpin's in there, and they're trying to hide Ozpin from Leo, so I feel like every time we see Leo from here is gonna have to do with Salem. So, we know that Watts has gone back to where Salem is to make Tyrion's new tail as well, so he's out of the picture now.
One thing, how is Tyrion gonna get a new tail? Like, he can't regrow it. Maybe he gets a Grim edition one or a robot one?
We talked about this, on Chapter 2's podcast, excuse me, we talked about this, but, yeah, there's a number of different possibilities where that's concerned. Obviously, Watts has some tricks up his sleeve, so we'll see what happens with that. Yeah, but yeah. As far as next week, I think we're definitely seeing Blake. We're probably seeing Salem, and we're definitely seeing Raven and Weiss and Yang, and they're gonna answer some questions we've had for quite some time about Raven and Team Stark and what the hell the whole dynamic is going on there. But as far as the Ranger reunion, I feel like they're going to leave that until Chapter 6. Yeah.
One thing I really want to see this volume is to come up against Cory, and he's standing there like, no, what is it, dude? How can you be alive? And Cory's like, I lived, bitch. Or something like that. That'd be awesome.
I definitely want Crow and Tyrion to come face to face again at some point, so Tyrion can have that moment of, excuse me? Why are you alive?
I live, bitch.
I lived.
Something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's going to be a while before that, though.
Oh yeah, you know they love to set things up really early on that don't pay off for literally years. So, you know,
take time to make stuff, so you've got to give them time.
I mean, they set the Silver Eyes up all the way back in Chapter 1 of Volume 1, and it still is not paying off. It sort of did at the end of Volume 3, but now we're still like, how does this work? We need to know more.
You will never know more. They're just going to leave you there hanging forever.
Yeah, no kidding. Alright, so we're going to wrap this up here in a minute. Yeah, so... as far as the predictions for reunions are concerned, yeah, I feel like reunion with Ranger and Freezer Burn's going to be a Chapter 6 thing at this point. And then, like you said, Blake hasn't even left Menagerie yet. She's still fucking around over there. So, I feel like Blake and Son reuniting with everyone else is going to be a Fall of Haven sort of thing. So, I'm still saying Chapter 13. I forget that there's 14 chapters.
This season? This volume?
Sorry?
Isn't there like 24 chapters this season?
There's 14.
Only 14.
Calm down.
Oh, 14.
It's definitely not 24. Oh my god.
Sorry.
I doubt we're ever getting a 24 chapter season. Yeah, that's longer than the anime season. Good lord.
Oh god.
Alright, so we'll wrap this up here in a minute. Oh, I forgot to mention at the start, do check out the Weissbreaker on Vimeo for this week. We talked about, what did we talk about? We talked about...
reunions.
We talked about reunions, which is our most anticipated reunions for Volume 5. So, yeah, head over to VidMe to check that out. Thank you, Lancer and Lachy, for joining us this week. It's been fun.
What's it on the podcast?
Hopefully you'll eventually hear me on Ruby Abridged.
Yes,
Eventually.
same. Yeah, hopefully. We're waiting for the same episode to come out so we can voice
doing
act.
bully things and talking like an asshole.
Yeah.
Which incidentally is what I do on a regular basis. But that's besides the point.
Yeah. So keep an eye out for that. Yeah, we'll have all the links and stuff in the description if you want to check out Ruby the Abridged series. And Lochy's on Twitter. His link will be in the description as well. Lachy, you're coming to RTX Sydney next year, aren't you? Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully. I can make it there. I booked the ticket, so...
Yeah. I'll be posting a video shortly about the happenings for RTX Sydney next year as well, so... Oh, my Volume 5 poster is supposed to be arriving this morning, so I'll go see if that's out there in a minute, but...
What's the mailman not knock on your door?
No.
Terrible mailman.
I live in the middle of nowhere, so they kind of just leave it at the door and walk away.
Right. I forgot. You live in, what, like South Australia?
Well, I live in Dingo Whoop Whoop, so...
Where?
That's an Aussie expression for middle of nowhere. Yeah, I live out in the bush.
There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't speak criminal.
I've only ever...
Hey, fuck you.
Yeah.
On that note, we will wrap this up. I just lost my voice. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you guys for joining us. And, yeah, be sure to check out the Icebreaker, and we will see you next week for Chapter 5. Oh, I want to mention really quickly, I don't know what's going on with the scheduling for this volume. I don't know when the breaks are happening. There's no World of Remnants as well. So, yeah, there's no World of Remnants this volume. I found out.
I love the World of Remnants.
Yeah, they've ditched them for now. Oh, I don't know, like, that's at least what I heard anyway. I haven't heard anything official, but, apparently there's no World of Remnants, so we'll see what's going on there. Also, they haven't released the schedule again, so I have no idea, like, I assume Chapter 5's coming out this weekend, but I know nothing, so I'll keep you guys updated on Twitter. Make sure you follow me on Twitter to know what's going on with that. Anyway, we're gonna go now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Goodbye!
Bye!